fans, to your speeding bulletin for the week August 2nd to August 8th, 2013. A week in which more rumours circulated around about the upcoming Man of Steel sequel. Greg Pak talked about his upcoming Superman comics, and Bob McLeod joined us on Radio KAL Live. Let's jump in and take a closer look. In movie news, there's been a lot of rumours circulating claiming that Warner Brothers are looking for a more mature actor to play an older, experienced Batman in the upcoming sequel to Man of Steel, with names like Josh Brolin and Jim Caviezel being thrown around. However, the studio denies all the chatter, telling HollywoodReporter.com that the casting process hasn't even begun. In other news, a Superman homepage source tells us that Zack Snyder may currently be more involved with movie title possibilities and how to represent the film, with the director said to be looking at World's Finest and Public Enemy's ideas for inspiration. From the look of the planet Krypton to the flow of Superman's cape, computer graphics played a major part in bringing Man of Steel to life on the big screen. In an article which looks into the technology and software used throughout the movie, Computer Graphics World goes in depth with two of the visual effects supervisors to find out what was involved in the 2-year process. In regards to Superman's cape, it's estimated that they added a digital cape to 70% of the shots. Check out the interview at cgw.com. At the Fantasia International Film Festival in Montreal this week, director Bryan Singer participated in a Q&A panel where he gave his thoughts on Man of Steel, saying it was a very different film from his own, adding that it was a total reconception of the Donner films. When it was suggested to him that Man of Steel lacked charm, he brushed off those remarks, saying Henry Cavill is pretty charming. The Lucid Film Review conducted an interview with author Greg Cox about the Man of Steel official novelisation, asking him all about the book, his thoughts on the movie, and what he thinks of the announcement of a sequel. He said, "Needless to say, I'm very excited by the prospect of Superman and Batman finally meeting on the big screen. In retrospect, an epic team-up like this seems long overdue, and of course I would kill to write the novelisation." With Man of Steel set to open in cinemas in Japan on August 30th, Kellogg's Japan are promoting the film on packages of Corn Frosty, known as Frosty Flakes in the USA, and Corn Frosty Waffles cereals. Fans can find Man of Steel straw toppers inside specially marked boxes. Brandon Routh participated in a Superman at 75 panel at Wizard World Chicago today. He was joined by Neil Adams, Travis Langley and Larry Ty. Look for our report on the website soon. Michael Shannon, Dean Cain, Alison Mack and Michael Rosenbaum are also attending Chicago Comic-Con, which is currently taking place at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois. In comic book news, comicbookresources.com conducted an interview with writer Greg Pak to find out what his plans are for his run on Action Comics and how they'll compare to his work on Batman Superman. He said, "I'm loving every second of writing Superman at such a young age in Batman Superman. I love the idea that even in current time in the New 52, Superman is still a very young man, still learning about the extent of his powers and still figuring out just exactly what the right course of action is in different situations." Writer Scott Lobdell spoke with Newsarama about his plans for Superman over the coming months and what we can expect from the return of the character called Hell in September. As for Hell's motivations, Lobdell said, "When confronted with the truth of his origin, Hell is going to have to readjust his entire view of the universe and his place in it. This will lead to dire consequences for everyone." Superman comic books to be reviewed this week included Superman Annual Number 2, which was reviewed by Adam DeChannel, who gave it a 5 out of 5, calling it a brilliant follow-up to the Multitude story. Adam also reviewed Superboy Number 22, giving it a 1 out of 5, saying it's just a mess all round. Sean Morrissey reviewed Adventures of Superman Chapter 14, also giving this a 1 out of 5, saying, "Riddled with unanswered questions, literary laziness, sketchy decisions and a deep sense of being rushed for publication." Injustice Gods Among Us Chapter 29 was reviewed by T.A. Hewitt, who said this story isn't very good, and he gave it a 2 out of 5. Mark Pritchard reviewed Smallville Season 11 Chapter 58, saying nothing especially stand out one way or the other, and so he gave it a 3 out of 5. Superman comics available this week from August 7th include Adventures of Superman Chapter 15, digital comic has been available since August 5th. Injustice Gods Among Us Chapter 30, digital comic is available August 6th. Action Comics number 23, which is available in a black and white cover and a digital combo pack. And Smallville Season 11 Chapter 59 digital comic will be available August 9th. To celebrate the release of the official DC Superhero Cookbook, here are a selection of Superman cooking and kitchen items for your Fortress of Solitude. Grab the official DC Cookbook by Matthew Mead for just $12.81. And while you're at it, pick up a Superman cooking apron for $26.99. These and other great Superman kitchen items are available from your one-stop Superman shop, the Superman homepage online store at supermanhomepage.com/shop. In other news, leading Australian toy manufacturer Headstart has teamed up with Warner Bros. Consumer Products to unveil its all-new augmented reality Figs toy range. Featuring iconic characters from DC Comics' Justice League, fans can now watch their favourite Justice League characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman and supervillain the Joker, come to life by pairing the quality figurine with the Ultimate Superhero AR smartphone application. Users simply point their app-loaded smartphone at the figurine and watch as its superpowers animate in 3D. The figures and app are available in stores now. Super Minicon 2 is taking place during the second annual Smallville Superfest in Plano, Illinois from August 16th to 18th. You'll be able to check out cool custom props and costumes, browse through a massive Superman store, grab some cool free giveaways and go in the draw to win a ride in the Batmobile. For more information, visit smallvillesuperfest.com. In this week's edition of Radio KAL Live, comic book artist Bob McLeod joined myself and Michael Bailey to discuss his career, working on Superman and his thoughts on Man of Steel. You can check out what he had to say at supermanhomepage.com/live. Join us this Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time for another edition of Radio KAL Live, where our special guest will be Dr. Christine Schreier, who will be speaking to us about the Kryptonian language she helped create for Man of Steel. That's all the Superman news there was for the week August 2nd to August 8th. I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Hello everyone, and welcome to another fabulous edition of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V. Thanks for watching. So we continue our speaks, our talks, our chats, our little mumbles about Batman versus Superman, which is the newest, of course, rumor, until it's not, that that might be what the title is, or maybe it's Superman versus Batman, or maybe it's Batman is awesome and should be in every superheroes movie from Thor to Ant-Man. But until we know what exactly the title is, we're going to go with the Man of Steel sequel, which might be called Man of Steel 2, or it could be called Batman vs. Superman, but will have at least an appearance of Batman in it. The reason I say this is because, you know, during the making of Man of Steel, there was a slogan going around, and it came basically from the Dark Knight trilogy, and that was, in Nolan we trust, which kind of morphed its way into in Snyder we trust, or in Nolan and Snyder we trust. And some people sometimes say in Goyer we trust, which I'm not entirely sure that I do. But the reason people started saying in Snyder we trust is because people were getting excited. People didn't want to be negative. People wanted to say that Man of Steel was going to be great, and I think it really was. And we have a chance to make an even greater sequel and an even greater franchise than yet we have seen on the big screen from any hero. I still say that there were a lot of reasons why The Dark Knight was hugely successful, but based on the not that successfulness of Batman Begins, I would say that more of them are because of the events surrounding the film and surrounding the actor, and of course the actor Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker that really lifted The Dark Knight to, you know, greater stratospheres. And I think that's perhaps what people in the business are hoping will happen by introducing Batman in the Man of Steel sequel. Now, if they call it Batman versus Superman, we've already discussed what my issues are with that. If Batman takes over the spotlight and it's a Man of Steel sequel, we've already discussed what my issues are with that. But now we have another little something that's going on the internets, and that is that people, as people are wont to do, are discussing different kinds of rumors and ideas of who they think should be the new Batman, because Christian Bale isn't coming back, which is unfortunate for many fans, but happy for me. I have loved several different Batmans. Obviously, Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman on the animated series, is many people's favorite interpretation of the character to date. I personally loved what Michael Keaton did with the character, even though everybody thought it was going to be a travesty once it was announced that Michael Keaton was cast. I even liked George Clooney, even though the movie was terrible. And I liked Adam West, obviously. Christian Bale, not my favorite. But what we're talking about now is people are talking about they need to get a star. They need to get Keanu Reeves. They need to get Jensen Ackles. They need to get John Hamm. And I don't like any of these choices for a number of reasons. There was a rumor that Batman's going to be a 40-something Batman, and he's going to have been established for some time, and he's going to apparently go to Superman to try and teach him the error of his ways or something, or maybe just try and touch base with him about the Justice League initiative or something. My problem with that is that in Snyder We Trust, we were told that in this universe, which will introduce the shared DC universe, Superman is the first costumed hero to be out there doing his thing. Meaning that if we get a 40-year-old John Hamm-ish Batman, that's a complete lie. Now, we were also told that this was going to be a Man of Steel sequel, that they won't be doing The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, an adaptation on film, and that Batman will appear in some capacity, all from Snyder at Comic-Con, which, based on what all the rumors are now, and Goyer saying that it's going to be called Batman vs. Superman, and Jim Lee saying he can't wait to see The Dark Knight Rises, his favorite, or The Dark Knight Returns, his favorite comic book graphic novel story brought to life in live action on screen, it sounds like, in Snyder We Trust, maybe isn't such a great slogan. I hope to be proven wrong, these people. I don't necessarily believe that that's what's going on, but these are the rumors that are circulating, and that would bring into question all the honesty that has been heretofore proven to be true. Someone asked Snyder at the 2012 Comic-Con, before Man of Steel ever came out, who would win, Nolan's Batman or your Superman? And Snyder, rightfully so, laughed and said, come on, guys, is that a serious question? This is Superman we're talking about. Batman's cool and all, but this is Superman, the best, the biggest, the greatest, the first. Batman wouldn't stand a chance. Something along those lines, and that makes complete sense. But now we're hearing that that may not be the case, and that there's going to be a versus. And in my opinion, a versus would undo everything that had been done by the Batman trilogy and by the new Superman movie, because it would show Batman to be so great that he could even stand his own against Superman for even longer than a few seconds, and yet Bane could break his back and all that stuff. But I said all that last week. On to the celebrities people are hoping will be cast as Batman. I think this would be a huge mistake, along with a lot of other huge mistakes that could be happening, depending on which of these rumors, if any, prove to be true. We know that Batman will be appearing in the Man of Steel sequel, but maybe they'll end up doing a Batman-Superman movie in lieu of that sequel so that they can get to Justice League, and hopefully we'll see a Man of Steel sequel and then a new Batman movie with these characters sometime in the future. I can't wait. I'm hoping it expands the whole universe. I'm hoping we get Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and all of them, and I hope we get different kinds of team-ups and also the Justice League, and I'm hoping we get appearances of other heroes in all the heroes movies, but appearances, not half a starring role, unless it's going to be a shared movie. If it's a Man of Steel sequel, that doesn't work. But I don't think, speaking of Jensen Ackles or John Hamm or Keanu Reeves, all of which I think would be bad choices for Batman, although I could see John Hamm as the Dark Knight Returns Batman at 70 years old or 60 years old or whenever it is when he comes back to try and put Superman and others in their places. But that's not what we're supposed to be doing, and the rumor that it's going to be a 40-something Batman again, making In Snyder We Trust unable to hold up, John Hamm just doesn't work. Same reason he wasn't cast as Superman in a lot of people's minds is that he was a little bit too old. Batman should be new, should be starting out. We should see a year one Batman, which a lot of people said we saw in Batman Begins, but now we're in a new era. We're in a new shared universe. It's a new Batman. It's a new Superman, and it's going to be a first time ever Justice League when we eventually get to it. I would rather see an unknown such as Cavill or Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, that kind of thing. Not that person as Batman, but the idea that these guys were unknowns and took over the role so well and just did such a great job they really are the embodiment of the characters that they are supposed to be, much like Christopher Reeve was, and everyone still says he was, back in the 70s. He was an unknown. He had been on a soap opera or something. He had done a few things. He was a stage actor, and people loved him in the role. That's what I want to see for all these characters that they cast. I don't want to see big names. I think Marlon Brando, while everyone sort of seems to think of him as iconic in that movie, I think in Superman the movie he was a little bit too much. I like in Man of Steel the way they cast bigger name actors around Henry Cavill. Actors that have some gravitas, have some skill behind them, have won some awards, and I think can embody the characters that they did so in Man of Steel. But if we start talking about big names, we're getting into Nicolas Cage territory. We're getting into, you know, look, it's Nicolas Cage in a Superman suit. Or, look, it's John Hamm from Mad Men in a Batman suit. John Hamm isn't hugely well known. Everyone knows who he is from Mad Men. Everyone knows who he is from his appearances on Saturday Night Live. And people know that kind of thing. But he's not a big, giant superstar like Marlon Brando was back in the day. I just think we should get either an unknown or a guy who's been in a couple movies that's maybe making his way, kind of like Henry Cavill was with The Tudors and with Immortals, and he was in another movie, Halloween something or other. I don't think we should go the star route. I think that overshadows the film. I think that belittles the characters, and I think it ruins the whole idea of bringing this fictional world to life. So hopefully we see an appearance by Batman in Man of Steel 2, or we see a shared Superman-Batman movie to get to Man of Steel later, along with Justice League. And hopefully we don't cast a big star. I don't see why they would suddenly go in that direction when they did not go in that direction with Man of Steel. But as Zack Snyder has recently rumored to have said, I have to do what Warner wants me to do, regardless of how I feel about Superman, which did not bode well for fans. He has made it clear that he's become a Superman fan. He knows he's the best. He knows he's the first. He knows he's the greatest, and he respects him a great deal. And to have Batman come in and overshadow all of that and overshadow the whole idea, I think would be something he wouldn't like. It would cause distaste for him. And we'll talk a little more about this next week, but I feel like there's a good chance Snyder will walk away from this project if that's the direction it continues to look like it's going in, and we get some definitive answers that is what's happening. I could see Snyder giving up on it because he had a vision, he had a direction he wanted to go in, he loves his Superman, he likes the way it's going, and then suddenly they're going to overshadow all of that because they want to get to Justice League. Now, on the other hand, I could see Snyder wanting to be involved in this as it goes forward because it's going to be huge, you know, when all these movies start coming out, you know, if he can be involved like Nolan is with the producing, and he can be directing the ones he wants to direct, I think it would be great for his career. But if his creative vision and his idea of the hero he created for a new generation, you know, not that he created him, but the feel that he created in this universe is overlooked, so that Batman can come in and say that awesome quote from Dark Knight Returns and start beating up Superman, and we're going to have a Man of Steel sequel that is shared or overtaken by Batman, I could certainly see him walking away. And people asked him, you know, what about that thing you said? And he said, well, you know, regardless of how I feel, if this is the way the studio wants to go, and monetarily, I could see why they want to do that. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And remember, I've got bad shark repellent in my pants.